Have you ever felt like someone in your life is silently trying to control you? Perhaps they use guilt to manipulate your decisions, subtle comments to make you doubt yourself, or even fake apologies to lure you back into their web. These tactics may seem harmless at first, but over time, they chip away at your confidence, your peace, and your sense of self. How often do you find yourself questioning your actions, wondering if you're doing something because you want to or because you're afraid of disappointing someone else? And how do you know when an apology is genuine or just another tool of manipulation? These are the silent battles we all face, often without realizing it. But here's the truth. You have the power to break free. You are not defined by the opinions of others, nor are you obligated to forgive those who repeatedly harm you without change. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden tactics manipulators use to control you, from guilt and doubt to fake reconciliations. More importantly, you'll learn how to recognize these behaviors, protect your boundaries, and reclaim your confidence. Stay with me until the end of this video, because the insights we'll explore might just change the way you see yourself and the people around you forever. Let's dive in and take the first step toward building a stronger, freer, and more confident you. 1. They try to embarrass you in public. In the quiet corners of life, manipulation often begins in private. A subtle remark here, a disapproving look there, small, calculated acts designed to make you question yourself. But when this fails, when you refuse to bend to their will, manipulators escalate. They shift their tactics to the public stage, aiming to humiliate you in front of others. Their goal is not just to control your actions, but to make you fear judgment, to strip away your confidence by weaponizing the opinions of those around you. Public shaming is a ruthless strategy. It's the co-worker who mocks your ideas in a meeting, disguising their cruelty as humor. It's the friend who shares your vulnerabilities in a group setting, pretending it was all in good fun. It's the partner who subtly questions your competence in front of family, leaving you defenseless without ever raising their voice. These moments are sharp, cutting deeper than any private insult, because they're designed to make you feel small, exposed, and powerless. But here's the truth. Their actions say more about them than they do about you. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." The sting of public embarrassment only lingers if you allow their words to define your worth. And this is where your inner strength must rise. When faced with public humiliation, the first rule is to remain calm. The manipulator thrives on your reaction, your anger, your defensiveness, your visible discomfort. By staying composed, you deny them the satisfaction of seeing you falter. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, who wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your calmness is your armor, a silent declaration that their attempts to shake you are futile." Next, resist the urge to retaliate. It's tempting to fight fire with fire, to lash out and reclaim your dignity in the moment. But retaliation often plays into their hands, giving them more ammunition to paint you as the aggressor. Instead, let the silence speak for itself. A measured responsior, no response at all, often carries more weight than heated words. It shows that you're unshaken, that their attempts to diminish you have failed. Finally, trust that the truth will reveal itself over time. In the moment, it may feel like the world is turning against you, like their words are rewriting your story. But the truth has a quiet, enduring power. As the philosopher Seneca observed, "Time discovers truth. Those who matter, those who truly see, you will recognize the manipulator's tactics for what they are. They will see your strength, your integrity, and your refusal to sink to their level." Let me share a story. A young professional, let's call her Emma, once worked under a manager who thrived on public humiliation. In meetings, he would interrupt her, mock her ideas, and make sarcastic remarks about her work ethic. At first, Emma felt the sting deeply. She wanted to defend herself, to prove him wrong in front of everyone. But instead, she chose a different path. She stayed calm, continued to contribute with quiet confidence, and let her work speak for itself. Over time, her colleagues began to see through the manager's behavior. His words lost their power, and Emma's reputation grew stronger because of her grace under pressure. The lesson here is simple yet profound. When someone tries to embarrass you publicly, they are revealing their own insecurities, not yours. Stand firm in your self-worth. Let their words fall away like whispers in the wind. And remember, the truth, your truth, does not need to shoot. It is silent, steady, and unbreakable. 2. They play the victim. When you finally decide to draw the line, to stand firm in your boundaries, manipulators often resort to one of their most insidious tactics, playing the victim. Suddenly, the narrative shifts. You, the one who has been patient, understanding, and giving, are painted as the villain. They twist your strength into cruelty, your boundaries into betrayal, and your self-respect into selfishness. It's a strategy designed to make you question yourself, to make others question you, and to pull you back into their web of control. Picture this: a colleague at work constantly oversteps, piling their responsibilities onto you under the guise of teamwork. For months, you've shouldered the extra burden, staying late, sacrificing your own time, and remaining silent. But one day, you decide enough is enough. You politely decline their request, setting a clear boundary. What happens next? They don't confront you directly. Instead, they sigh loudly in meetings, drop subtle comments about how unsupported they feel, and tell others, "I don't know what's changed, but they've become so difficult to work with." It's a calculated move to shift attention away from their actions and onto your supposed coldness. This tactic is as old as time. Manipulators know that when they can no longer control you, they can try to control how others perceive you. It's not about truth, it's about perception. As Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." This is the trap they set, to provoke you into defending yourself so aggressively that you appear to be the very villain they've painted you to be. So, how do you respond when someone plays the victim? The first step is to stay calm. Their goal is to provoke an emotional reaction, to pull you into their narrative. Don't give them that power. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Your calmness is a silent but powerful rejection of their manipulation. Next, stand firm in your truth. You don't need to explain your boundaries or justify your actions to everyone. Those who matter will see the truth through your consistency. Think of a tree in a storm. It doesn't shoot or move to prove its strength. It simply stands tall, rooted in its foundation. Your truth is that foundation. Let your actions speak louder than their words. Lastly, resist the urge to over-explain. Manipulators thrive on dragging you into endless debates, forcing you to defend yourself in circles. But you don't owe every person an explanation. As Epictetus wisely said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Live your truth with integrity, and over time, those who are meant to see it will. Let me share a story. A woman named Sophie once found herself in this exact situation. After years of being the go-to person for her friends, she realized the dynamic was one-sided. When she began saying no and prioritizing her own needs, one friend in particular started telling others, "Sophie has changed. She's so selfish now." At first, Sophie was hurt and tempted to confront the lies. But instead, she chose to stay silent. She focused on living authentically, showing up for the people who respected her boundaries, and letting her actions reflect her character. Over time, the truth became evident. The friend's victim narrative unraveled as others saw Sophie's kindness and strength for themselves. The lesson is clear. When someone plays the victim, it's not your job to fix their story. Your responsibility is to yourself to stay calm, to stand firm, and to trust that the truth will shine brighter than any false narrative. In the end, your strength is not in proving them wrong, but in refusing to let their manipulation dictate your peace. 3. They spread subtle lies. When someone loses control over you, they often turn to one of the most cowardly tactics: spreading subtle lies. These aren't the kind of outright fabrications that can be easily disproven. Instead, they are small, carefully planted seeds of doubt-vague insinuations, half-truths, and suggestive remarks. Their goal is simple but destructive: to erode your reputation not with a single blow, but through a slow, calculated process. This tactic is particularly insidious because it's hard to confront. A manipulator might say something as seemingly innocent as, "I don't know, they've been acting strange lately," or "something feels off about them these days." These words carry no direct accusation, but they stick in the minds of others, leaving room for interpretation. Over time, these whispers grow louder, fueled by speculation and gossip, until they create a distorted image of you that bears little resemblance to the truth. Let's consider a real-life scenario. Think of a workplace where a high-performing employee, let's call her Sarah, consistently delivers results. Her success intimidates a colleague who feels threatened by her competence. Instead of addressing their insecurities, this colleague begins to sow subtle doubts about Sarah's character. In casual conversations, they say things like, "Sarah's been really territorial about her projects lately," or "I heard she's difficult to work with." These remarks aren't outright accusations, but they're enough to make others question Sarah's intentions. Slowly, the atmosphere around her changes. Meetings feel colder, conversations more distant. But here's the truth. Lies, no matter how carefully crafted, California NN withstand the weight of consistent integrity. As Seneca once said, "Time discovers truth." When someone spreads subtle lies about you, it's tempting to chase every rumor, to defend yourself in every room you're not in. But this only feeds into their narrative, making you appear defensive or guilty. Instead, the most powerful response is silent, cessant confidence in your actions, your values, and your truth. The first step in dealing with this tactic is to resist the urge to react impulsively. Running after every rumor only gives it more attention. Instead, focus on what you can control: your behavior. Stay consistent in your work, your relationships, and your principles. Let your actions speak louder than their whispers. As Abraham Lincoln once said, "Character is like a tree, and reputation like its shadow. The shadow is what we think of it. The tree is the real thing." Focus on being the tree, strong, grounded, and unshaken, bypassing shadows. Second, trust that time will reveal the truth. Lies may spread quickly, but they lack the foundation to endure. Over time, people who matter, those who truly observe and understand, will see through the manipulators' tactics. They'll recognize the disparity between the lies and your consistent behavior. Finally, remember that your worth is not determined by the opinions of others. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." The manipulator's goal is to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel isolated and insecure. Don't give them that power. Instead, stay rooted in your truth and let your quiet strength dismantle their lies. Let me share a story. A man named James worked in a competitive industry where success often bred jealousy. One of his peers, threatened by James's rising reputation, began spreading subtle rumors about his work ethic. James didn't confront the lies head-on. He didn't storm into meetings demanding explanations or try to defend himself to everyone. Instead, he doubled down on his efforts, producing quality work and building genuine relationships. Over time, the truth became undeniable. While the lies faded into irrelevance, James's integrity and consistency remained. The lesson is clear. You don't need to fight every battle. When someone spreads subtle lies, let your actions serve as your defense. Stay calm, stay consistent, and trust that the truth, though silent, will always stand taller than the noise. 4. They try to isolate you. Isolation is one of the oldest tools of manipulation. It's subtle, California calculated, and deeply damaging. When someone seeks to control you, they often begin by planting seeds of doubt in the minds of those around you. They whisper untruths, distort your intentions, and create a narrative where you become the outsider, Their goal is to make you feel alone, unsupported, and vulnerably a silent battle where they strip you of your connections and leave you questioning your place in the world. This tactic can manifest in countless ways. In a family, it might be a relative who constantly criticizes you behind your back, turning others against you. At work, it could be a colleague who spreads rumors about your competence, creating distance between you and your peers. In friendships or relationships, it might be a partner who subtly portrays you as unreasonable, making others question your perspective. Over time, you may notice the once warm smiles of others turning cold, the friendly conversations growing shorter, and the invitations slowly disappearing. It's a quiet erosion of connection, and if left unchecked, it can leave you feeling isolated and defenseless. But here's the truth. Isolation is only effective if you allow it to define you. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Recognizing the tactic early is the first step to breaking its power. Pay attention to patterns. Are people suddenly distant without explanation? Are you hearing whispers of things you supposedly said or did? These are signs of someone trying to manipulate your narrative. Once you've identified the tactic, the next step is to stand firm in your values. Manipulators thrive on your self-doubt, hoping you'll bend under the weight of their lies. Don't give them that satisfaction. Stay true to who you are and act with integrity in every interaction. Let your character speak louder than their words. As Abraham Lincoln wisely said, "I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis." The great point is to bring them the real facts. In other words, trust that your authenticity will eventually shine through, even in the face of manipulation. Equally important is building relationships with people who truly understand and support you. These are the individuals who see you for who you are, not for the distorted image painted by others. Strengthen these connections by being open, honest, and present. Surround yourself with people who value truth and loyalty, and you'll find that their support becomes a shield against the manipulator's attempts to isolate you. Let me share a story. A young woman named Clara worked in a highly competitive office environment. One of her colleagues, threatened by her growing success, began spreading subtle lies about her, painting her as arrogant and difficult to work with. Over time, Clara noticed her co-workers pulling away. Lunches became solitary and conversations grew strained. At first, she felt defeated, wondering if she had done something wrong. But instead of retreating into silence, Clara chose to ACT. She continued to treat her colleagues with kindness and professionalism, refusing to stoop to the manipulator's level. She also deepened her relationships with a few trusted coworkers who saw through the lies. Over time, the manipulator's efforts unraveled, and Clara's integrity won her the respect of her team. The lesson here is profound. When someone tries to isolate you, they are attempting to weaken your spirit. But isolation is not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their fear. Recognize the tactic, stay anchored in your values, and nurture the relationships that matter. In the end, the truth has a way of bringing people back together. and your silent strength will speak louder than their attempts to divide. 5. They use guilt to control you. Guilt is a powerful emotion, and manipulators know this all too well. It's not uncommon for them to wield it like a weapon, not to resolve conflicts or build understanding, but to control you. They don't argue with reason or logic. Instead, they appeal to your sense of duty, your kindness, or your fear of disappointing others. Their words are carefully chosen, their tone often soft, but the weight of their intentions is heavy. They want you to feel responsible for their happiness, their struggles, or their failures, so they can bend your will to serve their desires. You've likely encountered this tactic in various aspects of life. A parent might say, "After all I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" A friend might lament, "I guess I just can't count on you anymore," when you set a boundary. In romantic relationships, it might sound like, "If you loved me, you'd do this for me." These statements are not rooted in love, California RE, or mutual respect. They are silent traps designed to make you question your own intentions and force you into compliance. But here's the truth. Guilt-driven manipulation is not love, and it's not a reflection of your worth. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When someone uses guilt to control you, they are attempting to take away your freedom, your ability to choose based on your own values and desires. Recognizing this is the first step toward breaking free from their influence. When faced with guilt manipulation, pause and ask yourself a simple but profound question. Am I doing this because I truly want to, or because I'm afraid of how they'll react if I don't? This moment of self-reflection is crucial. It allows you to separate your genuine intentions from the emotional pressure being placed upon you. If the answer leans toward fear, it's a sign that you're being manipulated, not respected. The next step is to set clear boundaries. Boundaries are not acts of cruelty. They are acts of self-respect. They protect your mental and emotional well-being while also defining what you will and won't tolerate. For example, if a friend constantly expects you to drop everything for them and makes you feel guilty when you don't, calmly but firmly say, "I care about you, but I can't always be available at the last minute." I hope you understand. Setting boundaries doesn't require harshness, it requires clarity and consistency. Let me share a story. A man named David had a co-worker who frequently offloaded tasks onto him under the guise of needing help. Whenever David hesitated, the co-worker would say, "You're so good at this. I thought you'd want to help the team succeed." At first, David complied, driven by guilt and a desire to be seen as a team player. But over time he realized this pattern was draining him and hindering his own work. One day, he decided to respond differently. He calmly said, "I understand this is important, but I have my own responsibilities to focus on. I'm sure you'll handle it well." The co-worker was taken aback, but eventually stopped relying on guilt to manipulate him. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Guilt loses its power when you recognize it for what it is: a tool of manipulation, not a measure of love or loyalty. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By staying grounded in your values, questioning your motivations, and setting firm but kind boundaries, you reclaim your freedom and protect your peace. In the end, the silent strength of self-awareness and self-respect will always outweigh the noise of guilt. 6. They try to destroy your self-confidence. When someone feels threatened by your growth, success, or potential, they often resort to a subtle but destructive tactic, undermining your self-confidence. It doesn't happen all at once. Instead, it's a slow, calculated process, small, petty comments dropped here and there, designed to chip away at your sense of self-worth. They might say things like, "Are you sure you're qualified for that?" Or, "You're so sensitive, you take everything too seriously." At first, these remarks may seem insignificant, but over time, they can accumulate, creating a silent storm of self-doubt within you. This tactic is particularly effective because it preys on the insecurities we all carry. The manipulator knows that by planting seeds of doubt, they can make you question your abilities, your decisions, and even your worth. These words are not spoken out of care or constructive criticism, they are intentional. Their goal is to keep you small, to make you second-guess yourself, and to prevent you from stepping into your full potential. Consider this. A young artist named Emma was thriving in her career. She poured her heart into her work, earning recognition and praise. But there was one person in her life, a close friend, who always seemed to have something negative to say. "Your style is a bit overdone," they'd remark. Or, "Don't get too excited. Success like this doesn't last." At first, Emma shrugged it off, but over time, the words began to linger. She started doubting her talent, hesitating with every brushstroke, and questioning whether she deserved her success. It wasn't until she realized the intentional nature of these comments that she began to reclaim her confidence. The first step in dealing with this tactic is recognizing it for what it is, a deliberate attempt to diminish you. As Eleanor Roosevelt famously said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." These negative comments are not reflections of your abilities or worth. They are reflections of the other person's insecurities. When you see them for what they are, they lose their power. Next, take note of your accomplishments, Virginia Lou's, and strengths. Write them down if you need to. Reflect on the challenges you've overcome, the goals you've achieved, and the unique qualities that make you who you are. These are your truth-silent but undeniable evidence of your worth. When someone tries to tear you down, return to this list as a reminder that their words cannot erase your achievements or diminish your value. Finally, surround yourself with positive, supportive people. As Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." The company you keep has a profound impact on your confidence and mindset. Seek out those who uplift you, who celebrate your successes, and who remind you of your potential when you forget. These are the people who will help you grow, not shrink. Let me share a story. A man named Alex worked in a competitive corporate environment. His manager, threatened by Alex's innovative ideas, constantly made subtle digs at him during meetings. That's an interesting idea, but it's a bit ambitious, don't you think? Over time, Alex began to doubt himself, holding back his best ideas out of fear of criticism. But one day, a mentor reminded him of his accomplishments and encouraged him to focus on his strengths. Alex started keeping a journal of his achievements, no matter how small, and sought out colleagues who supported his vision. Slowly, his confidence returned, and he began to thrive once again. The lesson here is simple. No one has the right to define your worth. When someone tries to destroy your self-confidence, they are revealing more about their own insecurities than about your abilities. Recognize their words as intentional, hold on to your accomplishments, and surround yourself with people who see your potential. Confidence is not something they can take from you, it is something you build from within. And in the silent strength of knowing your own worth, you will find the power to rise above their negativity. 7. They offer fake reconciliations. When all else fails, Massachusetts manipulators often resort to a final, deceptive tactic, offering fake reconciliations. They act nice, apologize with carefully chosen words, and promise to change to regain your trust. But these apologies are not born from genuine remorse. They are calculated moves designed to disarm you, to pull you back into their web of control. Their words may sound sincere, even heartfelt, but their actions often tell a different story, a silent contradiction lurking beneath their polished facade. This tactic is particularly dangerous because it preys on your hope, your desire to believe in the good in people. After all, forgiveness is a noble act, and reconciliation can feel like the resolution to a painful chapter. But not every apology deserves forgiveness, and not every act of kindness is genuine. The manipulator knows this. They rely on your compassion, your willingness to give second chances, to lure you back into the same cycle of hurt and disappointment. Let's take a closer look at how this might play out. Picture someone in a toxic relationship. After weeks or months of manipulation, gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and subtle insults, the manipulator senses that their control is slipping. Perhaps their victim has started to set boundaries or pull away. In response, they suddenly switch tactics. They apologize profusely, saying things like, "I've realized my mistakes and I'll do better. I can't lose you." They might even perform grand gestures, flowers, heartfelt letters, or promises to change. For a moment, it feels real. You think, maybe they've finally understood. Maybe this time will be different. But soon enough, their old patterns resurface, and you find yourself trapped in the same toxic dynamic. How do you deal with this? The first step is to not take their words for granted. Words are easy to say, but actions reveal the truth. As the old adage goes, actions speak louder than words. Watch how they behave after the apology. Are they consistent in their efforts to change, or do they slip back into their old habits once they feel secure again? Genuine remorse is not fleeting, it is demonstrated through sustained effort and accountability. Next, ask yourself a critical question. Do I want them in my life, or am I just being lured by the version of them they're pretending to be? This question requires brutal honesty. Often, Manipulators present an idealized version of themselves during these fake reconciliation subversion that appeals to your hopes and dreams. But this version is temporary, a mask they wear to keep you close. Reflect on their past behavior and patterns. Have they truly changed, or are they just trying to regain control? Finally, remember that not every apology is worthy of forgiveness. Forgiveness is a gift, not an obligation. As the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." Forgiving someone who repeatedly hurts you without genuine change can erode your self-respect and emotional well-being. It is okay to protect yourself, to say, "I accept your apology, but I cannot allow you back into my life." Forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. It can simply mean letting go of the anger while maintaining the boundaries that keep you safe. Let me share a story. A woman named Rachel had a close friend who constantly undermined her. Every time Rachel confronted her, the friend would apologize, promising to do better. For a while, things would improve, but the same toxic behaviors would reappear. After years of this cycle, Rachel realized that the apologies were empty. She decided to step back from the friendship, prioritizing her peace over the illusion of reconciliation. It was a difficult decision, but it allowed her to grow and surround herself with people who truly valued her. The lesson is clear. When someone offers reconciliation, don't be blinded by their words. Look deeper. Watch their actions. Protect your peace. And remember, not every apology deserves a second chance. True reconciliation requires more than words. It requires consistent, meaningful change. In the end, your well-being is worth far more than the fleeting comfort of a fake apology. Stay grounded, stay strong, and trust yourself to make the right choice. In life, there will always be people who try to manipulate, control, or diminish your worth, whether through guilt, subtle comments, or even fake apologies. But remember this: your value is not determined by their words or actions. It is defined by the strength you carry within, the boundaries you set, and the respect you demand for yourself. True confidence comes from understanding who you are and refusing to let anyone silence your voice or dim your light. The journey to self-awareness and self-respect isn't always easy, but it's one worth taking. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, stay true to your values, and never let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. If this message resonates with you, take it as a sign to prioritize your growth, protect your peace, and step into the best version of yourself. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more empowering content that helps you navigate life's challenges and build unshakable confidence. Together, let's create a community of strength, resilience, and positivity. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.